Lord Jesus Christ. Welcome to St. Cyril Methodius Orthodox Church in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Father Gregory, the pastor. Good to have you with us this afternoon, which is what I said not 2 minutes ago, but evidently the sound was not, so I'm going to try it again. Well, first of all, I want to talk to you today again about about my being a stranger to myself. And this is something that we're all suffering under because of our sinful condition. Before we talk about that, I want to ask you that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you please subscribe to our channel. If you're watching it on Facebook, give a like to the Facebook page and join the parish Facebook page. If you're watching it on my personal page, thumbs up, always welcome. I want to talk to you. So let's get back to what we were talking about being a stranger to myself. And what brought this to mind is a couple of things, but one thing that really made the impression on me today was earlier this week, I was part of a panel discussion for an art organization here in Madison called SIVA, Christians Involved in the Visual Arts, and the link is in the show notes. And I was giving the benediction and the opening invocation of the benediction and giving a little theological introduction to the topic. And we were talking about the Transfiguration. Now, the theology of the Transfiguration are very sympathetic, but art, photography, poetry, this is well outside my wheelhouse, not things that I have a real natural affinity for. And I was talking to a group of people who were all very well educated, very polite, but I didn't know any of them. We were doing it on Zoom. It honestly, well outside my comfort zone, not something that I really like to do, but I had to do it. As I thought about it, I realized it's important that as a priest and also as a Christian that I do these kinds of things, and not just me, but all of us. It's always important that we learn to work with people who are different from us, whether they're because they're different they're of sex or faith or socioeconomic status, education. That's really secondary. But it's important for us to learn to work with others, even people who seem strange to us, because that's what God in Jesus Christ has done with us. Because of the fall, I've become a stranger to God. And what that means is that even though I, like all of us, have been created in the image of God, I no longer live in the likeness of God. And so that similarity between God and myself has been lost. That doesn't mean that I'm not human. It doesn't mean that God doesn't love me. It does mean, though, that the relationship between the soul and God is no longer easy. It's become contentious. And that's because I've become a stranger to God, and in so doing, become a stranger to myself. We've all had that experience of realizing that we don't understand ourselves. Maybe we said something that we never imagined we could say, whether it was good or bad, or we find ourselves in a new situation. We don't understand ourselves, what to even do with this. But this is where we find ourselves. We are strangers to ourselves, and a central task of the spiritual life is to grow in self-knowledge. St. Anthony the Great says, if you would know God, first know yourself. And what he means by that is not self-knowledge simply in the narrow psychological sense, but to know ourselves in light of the gospel, know ourselves as God knows us. We have to do that to come to know God, because we are God's first revelation of himself to us. The problem is, like I said a moment ago, I'm a stranger to myself, so I don't understand God's revelation to me. This is why I find it so much easier to talk about God as I find him in the scriptures or in the tradition of the church or the worship of the church, because they're external. But to know myself the way God knows me, for me, that's an almost impossible task. And yet that's precisely the task of the spiritual life, to no longer be a stranger to myself. Because when I am no longer a stranger to myself, I have come to know myself as God knows me. I come to know that first revelation of God to me, which is me. How about you? You ever feel like you're a stranger to yourself? Do you ever feel like you're being swept away by external forces, whether it's tasks at work or the expectation of family, friends, coworkers? Those are all experiences of being a stranger to yourself. But the good news is that we don't have to live that way. Through baptism, chrismation, Holy Communion, Holy Confession, we can come to know ourselves, and in coming to know ourselves, come to know God. This is a great thing. We no longer have to live in a world of strangers because we no longer need to be a stranger to ourselves. Well, I've got someone coming for confession in just a few minutes, so I got to scoot here. But thanks for spending time with me. I hope if you have the opportunity this weekend, you are able to get to liturgy. If you're not Orthodox, maybe go find an Orthodox church in your area, attend liturgy. If you live here in Mad City, hey, why not come to church here at St. Cyril Methodius tomorrow morning at 9:30? It'd be great to have you here. But for now, God bless everyone, and I will see you hopefully again tomorrow morning. All right. Bye-bye.